Kate Daly Show starts now.
When I was growing up, there were two medicines in the world. You had aspirin and campho-phenique. That's all there was. Now there's so many medicines. They got this prescription stuff that they advertise on TV, and I swear.
Oh my gosh. This is having too many issues. What is
The
going
side
on
effects are 50 times worse than what the medicine cures.
All right. You know what? I don't want to suffer through that clip, so I'm going to end it. But man, that clip is funny. And I don't know what is going on with the internet today. I don't know what's happening, but it's struggling today. So welcome to the Kate Daly Show. How are you today? I hope you're having a good one. And boy, it's Thursday. I can't believe it's Thursday. Anyway, welcome to you. I've got Robyn Openshaw, the green smoothie girl, on with me. And boy, she rattles cages every time she comes on, and she always gives out great info. And I like that, Robyn, that you do your research, because I am telling you, that is a rare commodity these days. Doing research is something that a lot of hosts don't do. And you've been podcasting for years. You have quite the huge audience. And let me just tell you, there's just so much you can learn from Robyn, and you're so outspoken, and I really love that. So welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks so much. It's good to see you again, Kate. It's been a while.
Oh, it has been a while. All right. So we were just chatting. I want to share this with you guys because I'm going to ask on camera rather than wait. So when you first came on, you were dealing with a little skin cancer. Do you want to tell people what you were doing?
Yeah, I was actually a pre-cancer, and I use a product which I am not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing you, and I'm not giving you a treatment. Also, I do not make any money from telling you this, but I'm the third generation of my family who use this stuff called black salve. And the reason it came up with Kate is I went on camera and I was like, oh, I should go put a little makeup on because this thing that I burned off, it's probably the 50th time I've used it. Oh my God. So if anybody's looking at me, you can see I'm a fair-skinned person. I should not have been baking in the sun from April to October. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm even paler than Kate is, but I didn't care. And I got like hundreds and hundreds of sunburns, and my mother would leave me news articles on my pillow that said, you're guaranteed to get skin cancer 20 years later. It's burned into my brain. Still didn't care, still got lots of sunburns. But anyways, she wasn't wrong, but I use this stuff called black salve. It's not actually that fun to use. Yeah. It does do what you would go to the dermatologist to have done. But the reason I'm not telling you not to go to a dermatologist, but I started there. Mm-hmm. I got my first one like 18 years ago, burned off, came right back, but worse. So I went back to the dermatologist. They burned it off again, which is carcinogenic rays that are actually burning off your precancer. It fell out again, came back worse. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do what my grandmother taught me that she did. She put it on a melanoma. Again, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just telling you what I do. Right. So the reason I like having it around is, first of all, I have the same tube that I've had for like 17 years.
Oh my gosh.
And I put it on and the thing dies, and about a week later it falls out. And then this thing that's just a few weeks ago, like it's still healing. And so I saw it, and you could probably see it. A
little bit. It's faint. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even own any concealer, so I didn't do anything, just brushed over it. But anyways, so that's just a little thing that I have found. Just that you brought it up, I'm like, everyone wants to talk about this. Everyone wants to talk about what I do to my precancers. I've done it like 50 times. Okay. And you said, you said you have to be careful with your head and face. Well, that's where my precancers are. And the reason I do it myself, I could have a standing monthly appointment at the dermatologist.
Right.
And I would have spent, for all the ones I've done myself, I probably would have spent $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And I don't even think it like works, because for me, it came back. Mm-hmm. So the reason I like to have it is it's just this little $25 tube of this stuff that looks like black tar. I can just take a little toothpick, put it on, put a Band-Aid over it. It's not that fun. Doesn't really hurt. Yeah. Doesn't really hurt. The thing falls out. It's kind of gross, but you know, it's gross when you have Mohs surgery too. But what I like about it is that I can get on top of it, and it's a precancer. Just get it done. Oh, actually the last one isn't this one, it's literally in the corner of my eye.
Interesting. Wow.
Okay. Yep. And the little precancer just fell out, but it had been there for months. And I was like, I finally have to deal with it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm actually going to try it. Is there a product that you even recommend?
No. So the one that I got that I still have that hasn't dried up, there's actually a Utah company, and its product did dry up. So I'm not going to tell you that one. Plus they don't really want me to tell, because so many people came to them and they were like, hey, we kind of like to fly under the radar with this black salve stuff. Listen, the dermatology industry doesn't really like having any competition. So it's actually made in South America, and the company is called Amazon. It's not Jeff Bezos's Amazon. It's a tiny little South American company. I think they're distributing in the US now, because last time I talked to somebody who ordered it, they got it like a couple days later, which was not my experience when I ordered it years ago. I waited weeks.
Oh, wow.
So it's a little company called Amazon. It's, I don't know, like I have a Substack, Rob.
Give it out.
Yeah, I think it's just Robyn Openshaw Substack. Like Google Robyn Openshaw Substack, and then on my Substack, search for Black Salve.
Okay, Robyn with a Y. Robyn with a Y. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I have been had my video about Black Salve removed from YouTube after it had hundreds of thousands of views.
Wow.
I've been canceled in a bunch of places, literally just for talking about this stuff. So sorry, Kate. I hope you don't get me screwed.
I'm with you, sister. I'm like always in YouTube jail. So you just never know. So maybe this will land us there again. Who knows? But, you know, I get so tired of it that I don't even care anymore. So you can listen to this show live on the website, which is katedalleyradio.com. So it streams live. And then also you can see it on YouTube and X and all those places. And if I ever get into YouTube jail and you don't see a show going up, then go to the website and you'll see where I'm at, katedalleyradio.com, or you can stream the show from there. Where can people find you before we start talking? Again.
So if you are okay with spicy takes, and you might get some of my politics and lots of controversial things that I only believe due to extensive research, I don't just pop off about everything. Just Robyn Openshaw is my personal Facebook page, but you'll probably find something to be offended about politically there. But Green Smoothie Girl for health and all things health and wellness.
Okay. I feel like we have the same disclaimers. All right. So I'm the same. I'm always going to offend somebody. And so your current take on the administration. Let's just offend people right out of the gate.
Oh dear. Two-time Trump voter, lifelong conservative, libertarian, whatever you want to call it. I believe in freedom. Health freedom is my jam, especially since 2020, but didn't vaccinate my youngest two children because I injured the first two. Really hate being in these wars. Really don't like a little tiny country the size of New Jersey invading Lebanon. Don't like what they did in Palestine. Sorry if that offends anyone. I don't think it makes us a good Christian to be to turn a blind eye to hundreds of thousands dead and displaced in those two countries, Lebanon and Palestine. Okay, I'll be quiet now.
I think the Christian right is being very manipulated. And I also, when I just interviewed Ron Paul, I asked him about Israel, and he goes, well, the entire thing is a deep state. So that's where our conversation started. So you can only imagine where it went. But yeah, I'm with you on that. There's lots of things happening, but I think the presidency is very has been taken for a long time. So the deep state works behind the presidency, but that's my take. So, okay. So let's get into, shall we? Oh, by the way, I did get a question. I've gotten lots of questions actually about this. So let's address it really fast. And that's the dead scientists, the scientists that are showing up dead, David Wilcox and all kinds of different people within the last several months. We're not going to take a long take on that, but I just wanted to mention, I am looking into it. It is reminiscent though of, and I can't remember if I had you on the show this long ago, but I do remember, I remember having Erin on the show, Erin, and she talked a lot about the naturopathic doctors that were dying. There were about 100 doctors, you remember that? And they were dying of mysterious things about 5 years before COVID. Yep. So if it's scientists this time, and a lot of them are working with space and aeronautics and all of that, my only guesstimation for people right now would be, well, are we 5 years away from Project Bluebeam? So that was the first thing. That was my first thought. You know, I'll always share my first thought with you guys, my first take on it, but I am looking into it. I'm sure you've seen a lot of headlines on this, the dead scientists that are cropping up.
Yeah, I'm paying more attention to the David Wilcock thing. I really haven't done a deep dive on the dead scientists, but David Wilcock, my take on it is different than the people who immediately jump to, oh, somebody offed him. I don't think he was inside any government secrets. I don't think he was some big deal that the government needed to eliminate. He was very, very clearly, to me, I'm a former psychotherapist. First time I saw him was in 2020, and the person who sent it to me, and then the second person, and then the fifth person, they lost credibility with me because, and I don't mean to speak ill of the dead, but I was just like, this guy's clearly mentally ill. And I feel bad for him because he went way down the rabbit hole. I hope everybody protects their energy and their mental health from the dark things that we look at sometimes. Remember, we are in today. Remember, this stuff's been going on since before you ever became aware of it. And he went to such strange places that I was like, I think this man has been really deep down a psychiatric hell. And yes, he has said he wasn't suicidal, but I used to work on a suicide hotline. I used to work with suicidal people. They talk a lot about suicide. Every day that they stay alive is a day that they would say to to their own inner voice or to someone else, right, I am not suicidal. You're only suicidal the day that you do it. And I think it's really unfortunate.
Fair point. That's a fair point.
Looks to me like a suicide, like they say it is. So
all right. Well, one of the things that you speak out about a lot and you're really frank about are supplements and what we're taking. And so I can't wait to get your take on vitamin D, because you have a totally different take than anyone else I've ever heard. And so I would love to kind of go into that world with you for just a minute, because I think this is really important info.
Yeah. So I started to wonder 20 and 30 and 40 years ago, are all these pills, all these supplements, like, what are they? What are they made of? Do they really substitute for food? Do they really substitute for nutrients in food? So I wrote this book. It launched last fall. It's called Take Daily.
Yeah. How
Supplements Hijack Your Health. You're not talking about all supplements, not saying that every supplement is bad, but I think the main thing that has happened is that you kind of can't really put in a pill form what we need to get from food, nutrients from food, the whole nutrient complex that is found in food, in just this whole intricate web of precursor nutrients, and science doesn't even necessarily understand it. So what ends up getting put in a pill, especially increasingly in the last couple of decades, where if you put something fresh, even if it was just dehydrated or something in a pill, it would last 3 months or 6 months in the supply chain. And so I think as I look at what has happened since my mother was a Shackley distributor in the 1980s, and like a handful of supplements became half a cup of supplements, became 1 cup of supplements, became her whole income went into giving us more and more and more pills. I actually got busted in 6th period because in 1st period, all the pills that I wasn't able to take, I had to take out of my 1980s tight jeans pocket, and I put it in my desk in 1st period. And I got the cops coming and hauling me out of class in 6th period, and they were like, Miss Openshaw, can you tell us what these pills are that we got from your 1st period desk? And my first thought wasn't, oh my gosh, the police are questioning me. My first thought was, don't tell my mom that I didn't take my supplements. So it was kind of like, it started there. Like, I was like, is this really making a difference in my health? Man, she has me taking 1 and 2 and 5 fistfuls of pills a day. And then later I was in like Nu Skin. I was so excited about that they could measure your antioxidant level in your skin. And I was running all over the country scanning people and telling them their antioxidant level. And then I put them on Nu Skin supplement. And 2 months later, I'd scan the same people and their antioxidant score didn't go up. And including mine, like hardly went up at all. And so then I started juicing, and my score went to the highest of all 10,000 people I had scanned, was the highest after juicing carrots and beets and drinking that every day. And I was like, okay, the technology is legit. And these supplements aren't giving me at least the carotenoid antioxidants that we were measuring with the scanner. So I've always had a lot of questions about it. Taking this pressed white powder pill to get somehow what my body makes in contact with the sunshine. I spent all of Thanksgiving weekend a few years ago just going down the rabbit hole on it. And then, being able to scan the internet for very specific things using a large language model really let me go fast and hard before we are blocked from getting this kind of information that I put in Take Daily, which is, I would go into ChatGPT, for instance, just to start the conversation and say things like, what is the base material of cholecalciferol and what manufacturing processes does it go through to become the final product? Things like that. Okay. Things like that, like research that would have taken us weeks or lots of interviews with people or whatever I can get currently out of most artificial intelligence. I can say, scan all of PubMed for specifically these issues and tell me this and this and this. So vitamin D is quite the rabbit hole. And we can start with the scam of the lab test that you take, in which someone tells you that you are deficient. We can talk about what the actual pills are made of. We can talk about who is profiting from this. We can talk about how could tens of thousands of practitioners all over North America and Europe be wrong? I mean, you could ask the same thing about tens of thousands of pediatricians all over the Western world about vaccines too, right? Is a similar actually situation.
True. What about vitamin D? So you don't agree with taking vitamin D. And so tell people about your take on vitamin D.
So all of those issues, I'll just pick one of them because I've written so many blog posts about it. Like, let's talk about the 25D lab test. What's wrong with that? Or I'll, in one blog post, I mean, a whole chapter in Take Daily about it. And so I know that everybody doesn't want the deep dive. They want the quick and dirty. So first of all, being told that you are deficient is highly problematic because the 25D lab test, which is all your practitioner does, I guarantee you that's all your practitioner does, really is like testing the inactive form of a couple of molecules of the corticosteroid hormone complex. So it's really a steroid manufactured by the body. The stuff in the pill is made from an extract of the grease from sheep's wool. Okay, it is cholecalciferol. Okay, everyone wants to call that vitamin D. I refuse to call it vitamin D. If I do, I've got air quotes. Okay. Because it is cholecalciferol, which is also the active ingredient in many rat poisons. And it says right on the label, it's cholecalciferol. That's all it is in the rat poison. And it literally gives you poison control instructions if your dog or cat accidentally eats it.
Oh.
And it's also added to cat and dog food. That's the #1 buyer of cholecalciferol, and they're just putting small amounts in it. I'm not exactly sure why, except that my guess is that when they sell cat and dog food and they can say that it's enriched or vitamin fortified, that maybe people pay 50 cents more for it. Oh. So a sprinkle of cholecalciferol in it, I don't know.
What that's pretty shocking. So what research, when you were writing this book, Take Daily, what research surprised you the most? What surprised you the most on some of these rabbit holes you've gone down with supplements?
You know, it's always a shock to realize how many thousands of practitioners just haven't bothered to learn this stuff. And so they just take whoever trained them, they take their word for it. And that's what we do. Everybody's vitamin D deficient. We do the 25D lab test. Well, the vast majority of us are going to come up deficient if the 25D lab test is all you look at. The problem is that the active form of vitamin D is actually not found where they're taking, blood from. And also the actual corticosteroid hormone complex in the body is at least 80 molecules. And what's in that little pill is 2 molecules of the at least 80 identified. So if you want to know how they can even call that vitamin D, it's literally because of some overlap in molecules.
Wow. Okay. This is something I didn't know. This is really fascinating, actually, because we kind of just take it verbatim for what we see, right? So I don't think most people do much deep dives on anything. We don't look at the records of congressmen and senators and all the people. We don't look at medical, really anything. A lot of people just rely on the white coat. I don't. And so I think they find it kind of intimidating, I think, to go into this world to kind of look at the backside of it, maybe. I don't know. I mean, both of my daughters, when they were pregnant, actually to raise their iron level took copper, and it worked fast. So I think there's maybe supplements that you can see something happen fast, and then there's supplements that we should probably really look at and question and say, why do we keep saying these things, right? Why do we take these things? So I don't know. I mean, when you were looking at people that took vitamin D and then they kept doing that test, I mean, how are those correlated? And then also, were they raising their vitamin D level for that test by taking vitamin D?
Well, that's actually a great question that almost no one asks, Kate, and you said a good word when you said correlated. The one thing that's true is that when you look at 25D lab markers, people who have high 25D lab tests do correlate to better health.
Okay.
It tends to be people who are healthy are in the optimal range. They're the 15% that aren't going to get told that they are deficient. I have been in the optimal range every year that I've tested for 20 something years, except one time.
Really?
And the one time that I fell out of the optimal range was the year after my hormone practitioner, which is literally the only practitioner I go to. I don't even go there anymore. I've just abandoned that too. But they do all these labs, and people just get fear struck in their heart if somebody tells them a lab test is wrong, you're low, you're high, you're wrong. Like, people really fall for that, and so they're willing to buy supplements because somebody told them that a number was wrong on a lab test. So I went to my hormone practitioner like I did every year just to get my bioidentical thyroid. And she wanted to sell me some fish oil, and she wanted to sell me some vitamin D on the way out the door. Long before I'd done real research on it, kind of just didn't make sense to me that this white pill did what the sun did, like I said. But I said, but you just told me that my vitamin D level was optimal. And she goes, yeah, well, couldn't hurt. And so I bought it. I bought the bottle of vitamin D and the fish oil. And anyway, so the next year I came back. I didn't whatsoever take it every day, but when I thought to, I would take it. Came back the next year, which is officially the only time I got tested after actually taking vitamin D, because I don't take it. And that is the one time that I fell below that threshold. So it's just kind of another thing that I was like, what is actually going on here? So what the thing that is not proven is that taking the pill results in better health. That is what I challenge. Yes, having a higher 25D lab test, if they're high, you tend to be a healthier person.
Okay.
And if you're testing a person who has cancer or is unwell or whatever, they tend to have really low 25D, but people get correlation mixed up with causation.
Yeah.
We can explain that if you're not sure that your audience understands.
Do. Go over it really fast. Yeah.
Okay, so just because people with good health tend to have high 25D lab biomarker does not mean that artificially elevating the 25D lab marker leads to better health. Okay, just because those two are correlated does not mean this one, A, caused this one, B.
Okay.
And that's just a basic principle of research that just sails past most people unless they went to grad school and studied statistics. It's very, very foundational to understanding published research. But I have found that most even really smart people miss that. And they just think, well, I was told that I was deficient. I know you were told that.
Well, we're also told we have high blood pressure or high cholesterol. You might want to comment on those too, because I mean, when they come back with test results to push a pharma drug, I'm always very, very suspicious. So do you want to give me your take on those two?
I think that what cholesterol even means is just evolving, and there's always something that you can be sold based on that biomarker, and it keeps changing. It's like comical how much it's changed just in my lifetime. So I pay it no mind. I don't care whatsoever what my cholesterol is after all the tomfoolery that I've seen from the medical industry on what it even means. They take it so seriously, and then they're like, oops, no, we were completely wrong. You just don't want to have the big fluffy LDLs. I think it's ludicrous. Blood pressure, honestly, I should probably be on a drug for my chronically lifelong low blood pressure. Right. It causes me no problem, but my whole family has it. You know, they'll take my blood pressure and say, do you run marathons? And I'm like, of course not. Why would anybody run 26 miles?
They're crazy. Definitely, I'm not a runner. So I have heard, and I know some people that are actually trying this out, but it's like eggs and butter and all of that, which they say causes high cholesterol, actually helps testosterone levels.
Yeah, it probably does. I'm not a carnivore diet girl whatsoever. I eat plants. I think people need to not lose track of the tens of thousands of studies that show us how important greens and vegetables and fruits and legumes and nuts and seeds are. I think we've this fad diet that we're on right now, this carnivore train, I'm not a big fan, but I also don't want to tell people that, oh, don't eat the meat and the eggs and the cream and the butter because of the cholesterol, because that's been pretty well debunked.
Right.
So
Okay. So how do you feel then about the foods being grown in soil that is not rich with nutrients right now? What do you do about that?
I think that is the one true deficiency story. So many deficiency stories aren't really true when you start digging into it, which, like I said, most people don't, thus me writing a whole book about it. But I do think that we are deficient in minerals. There's a lot of different minerals and trace minerals, organic plant matter in the soil. We're supposed to get it from the herbs of the field.
Yeah.
And we used to always get it, and we put the cows out to pasture, and we let a few acres lay fallow while we planted these few acres. We don't do that anymore because we're trying to milk every single dollar out of the land. And you know, I have a friend in southern Utah, not as far south as you are, but who he's just totally winning if he gets a third crop of alfalfa out of his land, and just those synthetic nitrogen fertilizers and the Roundup. And he's soon as there was glyphosate, his family for a few generations now has used glyphosate, wouldn't even know how to do it without it. And so we really have ruined our soil. And so I make it, actually, I don't make it, but I get it in its most concentrated form, and I put my label on it because everybody who uses it, like, it's just the most reordered product we've ever had. So it's humic and fulvic acid with as much water out of it as possible, so that it's just a little drop instead of like shipping a quart of mostly water across the country. And it's right from ancient plant deposits before they become shale or rock. And most mineral supplements are ground up rocks and chalk.
Okay. So where do you get that? Where would you get this supplement for soil?
Well, Green Smoothie Girl has it. And like I said, it's our best selling product, and you can get a link and share it. I guess you're live right now. But anyway, that's like the supplement that is my desert island supplement. That's the only one. If I could only have one, that would be it. Actually, it's the only one I take, if I'm being honest.
Oh, wow.
And it's like it's all the minerals and trace minerals, and it is just the whole food of supplements. It's where the roots of the plant are supposed to get it and bring it up into the plant. But now we just spray nitrogen fertilizer on our plants, and we don't have that. We have dead soils that we're growing our food in.
Wow. All right. Anything else? Somebody's asking for your website address.
greensmoothiegirl.com.
Excellent. greensmoothiegirl.com. I'll add it to the ticker on the bottom here. All right. Anything
Ultimate Minerals.
Okay. Anything else on supplements that you want to add in? Because we can also talk politics, because I know that you're big on that too. So
yeah, I didn't used to be. I actually checked out of politics. The second Clinton administration, I was like, man, the American public knew that this guy was getting blowjobs in the White House from an intern, and they elected him again. I'm done here. And so it was the first minute of COVID that I was like, all right, I guess I have to pay attention to what's going on again here. So yeah, I've been way too deep down the political rabbit hole. But if I said one more thing about Take Daily, I'm glad we got to plant the seed about questioning the cholecalciferol story, because I actually think that it makes people feel better in the short term, just like taking steroids does, which you take a prescription steroid, you're going to feel better for a few days. Did it help you get better? No. Does it suppress your immune system? Yes. Well, this is a steroid. It is not a vitamin. Okay, vitamin D, misnomer. I think over time it's a big net negative and drains calcium and other minerals from your bones and blood. I think it's actually a really bad idea. And if I had to pick one other thing from this, like each chapter goes through kind of the big narratives about supplements. If I had to pick one other thing to say, please don't take this supplement, is I think it's chapter 7. I talk about vitamin A and beta carotene. And there was a huge study, very well funded, and they literally were doing this study with smokers, thinking that if they had vitamin A and beta carotene, that they would have better outcomes. You cannot believe how dramatically taking synthetic lab-made vitamin A and beta carotene increased all-cause mortality.
Wow.
I'm talking like 36% more.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, these are vitamins.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So that one is very provable. And yet most of our practitioners, including our functional medicine practitioners, do not know this stuff.
Amazing. The more I get to know doctors, I got my husband out of the hospital in 5 days, and he was golfing on day 5 when they said he'd be dead. And we did nothing that the doctors said. I finally realized, it finally hit home, Robyn. This probably hit home for you a long time ago, but for me, it was sitting in the hospital with my husband's life on the line and saying, I don't want anything that you guys want to give me. I want to do it this way. We're going to go total nutrition and health. And by day 3, he was out of the ICU, and they made him spend a couple more days there. And then he was golfing on day 5, and he was supposed to be dead. And I look back on that and I remember what dip craps the doctors were, and how they didn't know, they wouldn't study. They knew nothing about remdesivir, but they were telling you it was the only thing that could work. They were telling you the ventilator had to happen. They didn't even question what AI was saying, what the doctors were saying. They didn't question anything. They just went along with the program. And I thought, you people can't even do any homework. Give me your take on COVID now that we're in 2026. Give me your take on what happened and the whole situation of COVID.
I mean, it was literally March 2020 before we had patient 0 here, when I knew from Chinese medical journals who were already documenting and publishing on it that they said about 0.1% died in China. So we were being told this story and being shown the little Chinese man walking down the street and keeling over dead. And of course, we know COVID didn't show up like that. So why do we keep listening to these mainstream media channels? Why do we listen to anything they have to say about anything, actually? After that, how many times do we see that Chinese man walking down the street, keeling over dead? Same guy, like hundreds. And so I think that they needed it to roll out the next phase of the control grid. I think this energy situation is going to blow COVID away. I am really concerned that there's going to be lockdowns by a different name. What is there, like 20 something oil and gas rigs since March 1st, since this Iran war started? How is it, and what entity would be able to blow up and light on fire dozens of oil and gas facilities all over the world, Myanmar and Texas, and you name it? Why is this happening? It looks like there is some kind of concerted effort to choke off the lifeblood of all economies, which is energy, and use that to control us and put us in the Palantir 1984 dystopia. And I hate what just came out of my mouth, but COVID, I think, it just looked so concerted. There wasn't anybody allowed to deviate. There wasn't anybody in the military or anybody who worked for a hospital, or just they couldn't let anybody get an exemption. They fought it so hard that it was ridiculous. And all of it seems really clear now. It's hard to trace back who was involved. But hey, everyone, Deborah Birx was in the military. She may have worn a skirt, suit, and a scarf, but she was military. Okay, yep. Why was the military running it from day one? And why was Trump putting her and Fauci in front of us? Why was that tiny little guy telling Donald Trump what to do?
You ask good questions. That's all I have to say. And I'm with you on the next sort of like lockdown by another name, because there was no reason to do this with Iran. There was no reason. I showed 40 years of headlines. They're this close to getting a nuke. They're this close to getting a nuke. For 45 years, we've been using this byline. So then all of a sudden we do this action and they can't even tell us why. And so people need to start thinking outside the box a little bit on this and saying to themselves, why did this happen? What is actually going on? Because we only get 10%, right, of this from the Strait. And so they made big deal in the press about the Strait, about all of our oil costs rising because of the Strait. Europe gets 0 since 2020. So something funky is really going on. And if they do raise this high, I mean, it would put like everything at a problem of being able to afford it, driving in 15-minute cities, driving in, biking and walking, right? Is that what you're seeing too?
Yeah, and all the things with single-use plastics disappearing because now they won't be able to make plastics because we're all choked off. Like anybody who thinks drill baby drill and the US being insulated from it, like they might be really confused since we import, I hear different numbers, but somewhere between a third and half of the oil and gas and petrochemical products that we use are imported. And so plastics, I mean, there's a part of me that's like, well, I've always thought this was unsustainable, how much throwaway garbage that
Right.
we use. And it all comes from petrochemicals. So it looks like it may be a globalist agenda to radically decrease consumption and just radically reorder society across the board, probably driven by the banks, but also driven probably by transnational capital. I think transnational capital, or the financial industrial complex, is running Donald J. Trump. And I think that the military industrial complex is running Bibi Netanyahu. And those two guys are not the top of the food chain. That's what I think.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that, because I think that well, 3 years ago I said they're going to put Donald Trump back in because they have digital ID and war. So to make those two things happen, we have to put in a conservative president. So people grow very, very complacent to it, so that they don't think that we're under attack. If they would have put, I call her Hormala because she slept her way to the top, but Hormala in, people would have been outraged. But if they put Trump in to do it, then we wouldn't be outraged.
And we just all go to sleep. And what, a third of Trump voters, like, they just want to tear my head off on Facebook. And I'm like, guys, we're not each other's enemy. But at some point, all of us have to wake up to the fact that this isn't what we voted for. This is the exact opposite of what we voted for. And you could come up with really wild stories for why to support this. But it's almost like we all just got lulled to sleep. And we were like, well, he's playing 5D chess. He's not like us regular humans. He's smarter than all the rest of us. Everybody should sit down and shut up because it's the man, the myth, the legend, DJT. Listen, I wanted all that to be true too. I went to the polls. I voted. We all want to have hope, and I still want to have hope. But I think it's going to come from humanity, if anywhere. I don't think this president looks about as deep state as it gets.
Well, I don't think you can be president twice without being deep state. I don't think you can be Biden being put in as president to eat ice cream in front of the camera and mumble without being deep state. It's like the deep state's always running the show, but then they have the puppets out in front. They've been doing this for decades. How do you feel about that statement?
Well, I agree with it. And like the stuff that Trump says every day, like my jaw is on the floor. Everybody needs to go see the Iran propaganda coming out through these Gen Z, these
Right.
Lego videos. The most brilliant propaganda I've ever seen in my life. But they put into a little 3-minute rap song or whatever exactly what I've been thinking. And they just cram so much into probably an AI generated Lego video. And it is probably the most astonishing time to be alive when you just look at the quality of the propaganda. But like the stuff that Trump comes out with every day, I'm like, are people falling for this? But I said the same thing in COVID, like day one with COVID. I was like, why are smart people I know falling for this and telling me 2 weeks to flatten the curve? And I'm like, are you crazy? There's no virus that's going to go away in 2 weeks, or if we just all stay home for 2 weeks, that a virus will have kind of, the bad part will have come and gone. So I thought it was crazy from the beginning. And I see Donald Trump saying, I saved these 8 Iranian women. And I told the IRGC in Iran to release them. And they respected me and released these 8 women. I'm like, this is so ridiculous, Hollywood level cringe. And unfortunately, there's still a significant number of us falling for this crap. One after the other, just ridiculous Hollywood ending. He's an entertainer. And people like him and they think he's funny, and he doesn't talk over people's heads. I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've never had a problem with him. That's what people get so hell bent on his personality. I'm like, I've never had a problem with him. I think it's just seeing it for what it is and saying, okay, so we think the presidency has all this power. Maybe it doesn't. And maybe he's taking orders, and maybe they all take orders. Maybe all the presidents take orders from the deep state. And so they shove whatever puppet they can to keep us complacent out in front. And they do the team A, team B, right? Team A, team B. I heard that back in the 80s. It was like they put team A in. When people start getting upset, they put team B in. And really, there's no sides in Washington. It's all one direction, right?
Right. And I agree with you. It looks like it was time for Team Red, so that everybody on Team Red is like, oh, cool. Now we can relax because our guys in the White House. And it's taken everybody, like the 2/3 who are like, we're not having this. The 2/3 smartest of the Trump base this long to figure out, man, our guy is controlled. He's not who we thought he was. He's completely radically different from not just Trump 1.0, but also all the talk about, I'm going to end all the wars. I'm going to end Ukraine war on day one. I'm going to be the peace president. I mean, I think Trump believed what Trump was saying.
Maybe. Yeah.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that? And then literally just like bomb 10 countries in your first year.
And then you're signing up AI, right? And it's all on the world stage within 1 week. And it's just data centers and AI. So we're definitely headed in a direction. And so what do you think happens next? What do you were talking about lockdowns of a different kind, and what is your take? What do you think's coming this year?
I am afraid that what we are seeing is heavy restriction on fuel use, more work from home. They're trying to get us to a much more sustainable lifestyle, carbon credits. We will be so wrecked economically that we'll do whatever we're told. And Palantir is now inside the government. I mean, they've been running at a loss, sometimes like $600 million in a year loss for 20 years. And now they've got all these government contracts, and they are literally being brought inside the government as a private entity. And Palantir can scan everything you've ever said with AI. If you're thinking, oh, nobody's going to see my text messages, nobody's going to see my phone, listen to my phone calls. Well, no longer takes a human to do that. And so I'm not saying this to scare everybody or to tell you to be silent. Actually, I hope that you say whatever you want, wherever you want, so that I'm not standing out there alone and Kate's not standing out there alone. But I do think that this will be the time when we see are Americans ready to stand up for their rights yet? Because in COVID, I was running protests and I was marching 2,000 people down State Street, and the cops closed it for us. They loved us. They had just had their cop cars burned by, BLM, and people were screaming at the lefties in Salt Lake City were screaming at the cops, and they felt unsafe. And so we were like back of the blue, and we opposed the shutdown of our small businesses. And we didn't even know the mandates that were coming, but we were mad about the schools being closed down and the kids being forced to wear masks, and they can't even see the teacher's mouth move. They don't know what the teacher's saying. So I'm afraid that this is JD Vance, the Palantir, Peter Thiel financed surveillance state guy, because Team Red will let this administration do a lot of crap to them and not even complain.
No, it's the truth. And I've never seen a VP get more action and more centerpiece than JD Vance. It's weird. Usually he's shoved off, right?
Yeah, it's almost like they hid him, but they're making just little inklings about that he's against the war. But everybody else that was against the Iranian war was kicked out of the room. Well, why is JD Vance allowed in the room? Well, I don't think he's necessarily so much against the war as they intimated, but it's almost like they're teeing him up to be, okay, you didn't get peace with this guy, this 80-year-old guy, but we got this other guy who we've shown you that he's kind of sort of against squandering. What are we up to? Like half of our national defenses have been squandered, dropping it on Iran now. I hear different figures between a quarter and a half. Does anybody even know? But JD Vance is obviously teed up to be the hero, but then he goes to the peace talks with, what is Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff doing there? They have they're not official from the government. Why is Trump's son-in-law, who has no relevant experience or credentials, why is he in there? And JD Vance is in there taking calls from Bibi Netanyahu. Why? Why? So I don't know, but I think JD Vance is supposed to be Team Red's next president. And honestly, I want to believe in these guys. Like I said, I voted for him. It's kind of a new and painful awareness that's happened over the last 15 months to realize, oh man, I was really hoping we would have peace in the world, and that we'd keep to our own business and worry about America's problems instead of going over there and just every day it's a new thing. Oh, we're saving the persecuted women. I guarantee you there's no persecuted woman in Iran who wants bombs dropped on her children's school or on her apartment complex or on her workplace. We're not freeing any women. That's not it.
Yeah. And headlines for 40 years, but then we do now, all of a sudden we care about what's going on there. And I did an expose on the show where we talked about the CIA put the Shah in, then the CIA put Khomeini in, and he was an asset. He was living in France. And the CIA hyped him in the media in Iran and got him into position to be the tyrant bad guy. So I still think we own their government. I think that we tell their government what to do, but we play it off like it's a bad guy.
Yeah.
So
it's all very theatrical. And I think that probably the world has been carved up into China's hemisphere and Russia's hemisphere and the United States' hemisphere. I think it's fascinating how Russia and China are staying out of it. I think that the Middle East will become the Far West, and that Israel would be rebranded and regime changed. I think all of this probably at a high level. The conflict is real. The theater is costing people's lives, but I think it's mostly theater so that everybody gets their Hollywood ending. Iran tells its people whatever, and Donald Trump's telling us he's just throwing spaghetti against the wall right now and seeing what sticks. Like they probably have like focus groups. Like how did that light up Americans' imagination when Donald Trump said that we found this one guy whose plane went down and he had broken bones and we found him in a cave. And okay, first of all, where is that guy? Or, oh, we saved these 8 women and the Iranian government just took a knee and just agreed to it. And like, I just see so many narratives, all of them more ridiculous than the last. And we get our happy ending, and nothing about it is particularly happy in the aftermath, but it looks to me like control grid stuff, scare the crap out of everybody, grind the middle class into the underclass, even worse, so that we're willing to accept the shackles because it's better than this economic chaos. I think stablecoins are our CBDC. Tether just froze $71 million worth of a guy's stablecoins. We already have programmable money, and like, we don't like what you did, so we freeze the money. I think all these things will start to become clear. I think people can do a lot to prepare. We're gardening right before this. I met with our neighbor about using their spare acre and growing. Hope people are growing. We're going to do our little community garden over there. Bitcoin, self-custody. I'm super passionate about that. Get some of your store of value outside the dollar. These are the things that matter to me. Sitting around and wringing our hands and talking about all the crap, like we need to do it because Kate, you're like, educating people, but we got to go past the hand wringing and the.
Oh, I get it. Trust me. I mean, if we're looking at data centers being the reason, which I think it's actually a lie, the reason for all the water costs going through the roof and shorter showers like they talked about in Texas last summer and telling people they have to do all those things, then we have to be ready for that if you're gardening. So everything is kind of connected right now. And so I feel like there's lots of things we can do. You can get in charge of your health. You have control over that. You have control over what you eat. We don't have to wait for the FDA for what they're going to do or not do, or dies or not dies. We make those choices. So we can choose those things. And I always say it's the people. It's the people that finally realize, like this comment, this Skylar, whatever, dork. It's like on Facebook, you got conned by a con, sucker. Okay, even saying that, I realize how indoctrinated that guy is, because if you can see the whole thing for what it is, it's not like his guy's better. It's not like it's not better. It's just what it is. It's owned. So I feel like even these comments coming in, it's like, you don't get it though. You're still on this hate Trump thing, but it's not about hating Trump. It's just about seeing it for what it is. What are your thoughts on that?
I just feel like people are so like, they are honed in on whatever I say or you say. It's like, Trump lover or Trump hater? Okay, what if it's neither? I don't hate Trump. I voted for him. I wanted him to be what I care about results. Like, I wouldn't hire someone in my business and just be like, I just really liked you, and so I'm going to ignore your work product. Why do we do this? Why do we like have this like wild culty loyalty to a politician when he scammed us? You guys, he scammed his own base out of, I think it's around $5 billion in the Trump and Melania coin. Everybody just wants to just look the other way. Why? Why can't we just look at it for what it is? I'm not pro or con or anti-Trump. I'm one of the people who got conned.
Yeah, you're trying.
And then they're just like, but our other choice was like Kamala. And I'm like, false binary. You're right. We were served two terrible choices. And you're right. I had to choose one of the two, but I have a problem with that.
Yeah. 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 No, I'm with you on that one. And it's all the way down to local races too. And we're gonna have to start writing people in because it's that bad right now. And it's so overtaken with election fraud. So going back to what you were talking about, Bitcoin money, I know that this is a topic that you love. So do you want to give everybody kind of a heads up on investing, Bitcoin, where it's going? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think people get really confused between Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency is basically like a giant casino with thousands of craps tables and slot machines and it's shiny objects and lights flashing and it's dizzy and gives you a headache, and just ignore it. Right. And look at Bitcoin because it's the only thing that's truly decentralized. And now it's a $2 trillion asset. And now the financial institutions are being forced into it. Morgan Stanley just launched their Bitcoin ETF. And I'm not saying to go buy shares in the Morgan Stanley ETF, because I'm all about have it yourself. Don't have shares in Morgan Stanley. Now so we're seeing Wall Street step in and BlackRock's in Bitcoin. They own 800,000 Bitcoin. It's a company called Strategy that just eclipsed BlackRock. There's 11 banks who've had a Bitcoin ETF for almost 2.5 years now. Now Morgan Stanley is another one. It's the most successful ETF launch in history. And it's like, people, you got to get this. Owning shares in Morgan Stanley is not opting out of the system.
Okay.
Morgan Stanley is buying Bitcoin, which has a hard cap on it of 21 million. No one will ever have more than that. It's a scarce asset. Even gold, they managed to find another 2% every year, and it's a lot of work to get it out of the ground. And they don't ever have 10% more in a year because it's so much work. And I love gold, but I'm into Bitcoin because it's digital money. And Iran is taking, money for petrochemicals and oil and gas in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was built for this, a trustless world where trust falls apart, and you don't have to trust the people who make the dollars to stop creating more dollars and make your dollars worth less. Okay, everyone, here's a basic principle of economics that I found people don't have. If there's $20 trillion in the United States, for instance, chasing all the same number of goods and services, if we print another 20 trillion and dump it in there, do we have twice as many goods and services? No, we have the same number of goods and services, but twice as much money chasing it. So what happens? The price is double. The price is double. And people don't understand that. I see people all over social media saying, those greedy gas stations.
Yeah. Well,
that's not it.
Okay. And so because a lot of people are kind of wondering about Bitcoin, how high do you think it'll go?
Well, I think most people who are Bitcoin maxis and understand the use cases for Bitcoin and have put the time in on it, which you got to give it the time. It's one of those things that's such a sea change from what you're used to. It's not dollar denominated. It's something else completely. I don't like to guess. I mean, I think it's going to go to 1 million a coin, but how fast that happens is going to be dependent on how much chaos and how much people are wanting out of the dollar. I mean, it's way up in the last week. It has held up better than any other asset and increased in value during the war. Gold hasn't.
Right.
Gold has not gone up during the war, which it typically has. I don't know. We're only less than 8 weeks into this thing, so I don't know that I'd say anything hard and fast about that. But I just think it's a way that you can hold some of your life's energy that you hold in the form of an investment or savings. Like savers are being punished right now because inflation is taking from you faster than interest pays you in a short-term T-bill, US T-bill, or a money market account, especially a savings account. You don't get anywhere with a savings account. Your dollars are just turning into dust. And so with Bitcoin, you have to deal with the volatility. When you could buy a Wall Street product, you could buy a Strategies product, Stretch, if it's really important to you to get 11.5% a year, and then you don't own any Bitcoin. But Michael Saylor gets the advantage of the upside of Bitcoin, but you don't have the volatility where it goes way up and then it comes down. And so those of us who hold it, we do have to deal with the volatility. That's the price you pay. But over the lot. I mean, it's gone from a penny to $79,000 in 17 years. That is astonishing.
It is astonishing. Yes, I'm with you on that one. And what did you think about all of the hullabaloo? I've just been hearing so much about Starlink and going public, Elon going public. What was your take on that?
I haven't really been following the Starlink going public, but it all looks like surveillance to me. And boy, people love or hate Elon Musk, and I got a hairy eyeball on that guy too.
Yeah, I think he's an asset. I did a show called the Frontmen, and Bezos is one, and he's another, and so he was kind of propped up into business. It's the reason he owns satellites, right? Because we can't own a satellite. So.
I mean, everybody thinks he's the richest man in the world. He's not sitting on piles of cash or 10,000 pounds of gold. You guys, he's up to his eyeballs in debt, and they don't finance him if he doesn't dance on the puppet strings. But he's allowed to say things that we go, yeah, cool. Right. We're watching the lifelong Democrat go anti-woke. Like, he says things that we like, and so it makes us like him. And I don't care if anybody likes him. I think he's an intriguing dude. I'm just concerned where he's taking us.
Yeah. Like he had a manufacturer in Germany making those shots, but no one ever talks about it. He does the little attachment into the brain. What's it called? Neuralink.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places he's at, and I just there's something very, very wrong with that picture. And you were going to comment on the draft. I know we only have a few minutes, but you were going to comment on the draft too. Did you want to mention that? I know you're probably so tired right now. Sorry.
I'm not tired. I'm just sad about it because there are things that Congress has done. So our young people are auto registered for the draft. So if you're thinking, oh, there's no involuntary draft, because my son didn't have to go in and sign himself up somewhere, I hate to tell you, but he's teed up and ready to go. And I have tried to talk to my sons about this. One of them just gives me a blank look, and the other one is like, Mom, the military has recruiting for the military, and they go out and it's very elaborate recruiting. And I said, kid, I hate to tell you this, but their recruiting has been spectacularly unsuccessful in recent years, and that's before we went to war. The working class in America doesn't want to give their sons to bankers' wars anymore. And he's not really hearing me, but what I was saying to him, and I probably shouldn't even say this out loud, but like, you should go in and get a diagnosis in your medical record, because I don't think conscientious objector is going to work if and when they are drafted. I'm not super worried that anybody in the Trump administration is stupid enough to try to send 1 million guys in on the ground, which anybody watching this situation knows is going to take a massive amount of people, a lot of whom will be lost to the conditions and just to get to anything in Iran. I'm not super worried about a ground invasion in Iran. I think Marco Rubio is peeing his pants over invading Cuba. That's what he wants his legacy to be. Sure, like I had dinner with one of my former BYU students last night, and he's like, nah, because that'll just be in and out. That'll be just so easy to do. Yeah, maybe. But I am concerned about an involuntary draft, because honestly, my generation, Gen X, yours too, is the first generation that didn't have an involuntary draft in the history of America, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's not in our life experience. And so we just think that would just can't happen again, and we're just immune. We're special. Yeah,
I do. I think we do. Yeah, actually, yeah. I think they can't even comprehend that. Actually,
and I think we should be talking about it. I think everything that we do to stand up to it matters. I mean, I remember I had a viral video in 2020 talking about contact tracing, and they did pull it back. I'm not saying it was because of my viral video. I'm saying I think they got so much pushback on the door-to-door and the contact tracing, and they were hiring contact tracers. Remember?
Yes.
Because if we push back, they pull back.
That's so true. Do you remember the guy that they didn't think they were going to encounter, but when he opened the door, it's like, I'm not taking your shot. You guys are out to kill people. Are you kidding me? And I mean, it really backfired on them. And so I think too many people were giving them too much crap at the door as well. Then viral videos like yours came out, and I think all of it together was like, I guess we can't do this. Right. So.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't pull everything back. Like, I think they might have pulled the trigger on COVID before they were really prepared to do it, because it was too messy and clunky and things that they hadn't anticipated. Like they seemed to be in a scramble and sticking their fingers in the dam. But yeah, like contact tracing, I think they realized this isn't a fight we want to pick right now. It's not a battle we want to pick.
No, they had the cameras, and I just kept laughing at the responses they were getting. So I actually loved it when people would respond and tell the truth, to try to tell the truth to them. I thought that was great. And as far as that goes, all of those things, like just lately, they're not going to publish their vaccine reports that are supposed to be beneficial, how beneficial it was for us. They're not printing that now. They're not going to go forward and print that. Did you hear that?
Well, congratulations, Americans, for them recognizing, because of things that you've said and your courage in speaking up and saying no, and 20% of us refusing to get the stuff injected into our bodies. Thank God that they recognize that they should not be publishing a big brag when we have millions of injured Americans that we are still tending to. We are tending to our bruised and broken and bleeding, and we don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And we don't want any more. And you know what? I led a liver detox retreat in the Swiss Alps every July, and I'm going again this year. But we didn't do one in 2021, 2022, because Europe was going to have vaccine mandates. And even the Europeans pushed back enough, I guess, because there still aren't vaccine mandates to fly. Probably coming, but everything we do to push back and to say no, everybody's so worried about getting in trouble. For heaven's sakes, if there's just enough of us willing to say no.
I know. No, you're exactly right. And they do have an apparatus with the airlines on all their apps. They're putting forth some newer things come November. But as far as that goes, you're going to a specific country. What do you have? What do you not have as far as medically? What shots do you have? Like we're some kind of farm animal. So yeah, I hope people push back. I really do, because we have a lot of steps coming. I mean, I hope they push back. So that's what we can count on. I don't know that you can't count on government to correct itself. It's not going to. It only goes one direction. So it has to be the people banding together. So I appreciate your voice out there, Robyn. Tell people how to find you again, the website, X, everywhere.
So if you you're still listening after all that political talk, and you want to follow me, I'm Robyn Openshaw. I kind of don't really care all the angry, always Trumpers in my comments. I'm sorry, you guys. I was super rooting for Donald Trump. And now, unfortunately, he has woken me up to how utterly impossible it is to be in that seat and not be subverted. So if you want that, it's Robyn Openshaw, Robyn with a Y. If you want health and wellness only, greensmoothiegirl.com and also Green Smoothie Girl on Facebook.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. And always fun to talk with Robyn. And of course, I'll be back on Tuesday. A lot of great guests next week. Kate Daly Show. Go get the ebook on cancer. It's 15 pages. And by the way, it's the best 14 to 15 pages you'll ever read on how to deal with cancer with no pharma and no chemo. It's all of the best research compiled. I mean, it's really that good. It is really that good. Go get it. And have it on your computer for somebody that you love or yourself, because 1 in 2 gets cancer now. So the odds are not with us. We have to make sure that we're taking care of our health. And then also go get cardiomiracle.com, because it has a delivery system of fruits and vegetables and minerals unlike anything I've ever seen. So go get it. Cardiomiracle.com/Kate. It tastes like fruit punch. It's really tasty and amazing. And I take it every day. I take 2 doses a day. I did 1 dose a long time ago, and that didn't really do much. I did 2 doses, game changer. Cardiomiracle.com/Kate. And then, of course, be faithful, be fearless. I'm so happy that you listened in today. Go to katedalyradio.com. You can get the show on audio, and you can listen to it like while you run or while you travel, or you can watch this on YouTube, X, Facebook, The Kate Daly Show. All those places. On Instagram, it is Kate Talks About Everything. Okay. And I really, really do appreciate you guys. Tuesday, same bat channel. I'll be right back on Tuesday. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.